last Friday, I caught a stretcher match on SmackDown, which was off the chain. If you guys missed that and you have a way to go back and view a replay or find that match somewhere, the Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy stretcher match on SmackDown last week was absolutely amazing. And those guys were 2 days, because they taped it last Tuesday, they were 2 days coming off WrestleMania. And we know that they had a brutal bout at the Mania pay-per-view, and then to go out and do that stretcher match as well. Just amazing, amazing match last Friday. But back to the draft pick, the Hardys. Like I said, I talked to a former creative team member, and we were pretty confident in this one that although most, we know they're going to stack Raw, right? But I've heard that Jeff Hardy stays on SmackDown. Matt Hardy is the one that goes to Monday Night Raw. I don't know if that's going to happen live tonight or if it happens in the supplemental draft. I would think tonight, with the current feud, main event storyline angle with Mania, and then the main event of SmackDown last week. But we're pretty confident Matt Hardy to Monday Night Raw.
That's an interesting one. The only comment that I have about that is I think, in my opinion at least, that they should continue the Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. I know normally they stop a feud on a one-on-one match kind of clean, and that's it. Stopping a feud on a stretcher match, I mean, it was it was a hot match. Don't get me wrong, but
they had Matt. Keep in mind that they had Matt go over at both Mania and then on SmackDown last week as well. So Matt went over twice. So that seemed like it was kind of a blow off to the feud. But as far as, like you said, I mean, Hardy versus Hardy, that's a match that you built up going into Mania, and then you did the SmackDown match. Probably would like to see it again, maybe at the Backlash pay-per-view, and then do your blow-off on SmackDown. I think they could have gone longer with that. I mean, Hardy versus Hardy is, two names that draw. It's the Hardy Boys. They're fighting against each other, and it seemed real quick. It was in a 2-day period, or a 5-day, 6-day period from Sunday to Friday, where you had two matches.
It's kind of like one of those rush matches, and excuse me, it's amazing that, of course, Jeff Hardy hasn't got that one victory. But I think once he gets that one victory, I think in the eyes of the WWE, that's when the feud kind of ends, and both will take different directions.
Well, not only that, but if you draft Matt Hardy over to Raw, Jeff Hardy goes into a new program over on SmackDown and goes right back to a main event position, because you're going to be taking some top guys off SmackDown here. Not that you may send, a top Raw talent is likely going to go to SmackDown as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it was either Batista, Triple H, or Orton, or one of the members of the Legacy, because I feel that you need crossover going into Backlash. And by having one of those guys, you've got the match at Backlash, you've got the Legacy versus Batista, Triple H, and Shane McMahon. Okay, if you send all those guys are on Raw right now, well, Triple H comes to Raw, but I think you have to send another big name over to SmackDown so that you can continue to cross-promote Backlash. We're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that later. Back to the Hardys. And there's really nothing more on that. Matt Hardy to Raw is what I've heard. Sounds legit, and I'm pretty confident in that one to say the least.
One of the picks that I have here. So you're saying Matt Hardy to Raw. That's your first pick.
First pick, yeah.
Okay, all right. My first pick would be MVP to Raw. That would be at least one of my guys. Of course, I think it's time that MVP kind of elevates himself into a larger audience platform, which, of course, is Monday Night Raw. And I think some of the feuds and programs that they can put MVP against, and then, of course, as well as bring in the USA title, which I believe has never been on Monday Night Raw. So that's just kind of unique right there itself.
Is that true?
Maybe back in the days, back in the angles where they had the invasion and so on and so forth. I know the title's been defended on Monday Night Raw, but I don't think the actual title itself has been on Raw. And same thing with the Intercontinental. I don't think that's been on SmackDown.
I agree with you on MVP.
It's a split.
I agree with you on MVP going to Raw, but while we're on that topic, you said that he's going to bring the U.S. title to Raw, which I agree with. Gives MVP more. MVP is good. You know what I mean? I don't catch SmackDown that often, but he's good. He's got mic skills. He's got ring skills. He's got it. He's got it. You know what I mean? But while we're on the subject of MVP, if you're going to bring the United States title over to Monday Night Raw, which I do agree with you on. I think you have to take the Intercontinental title and go over to SmackDown, and this is my next pick in Rey Mysterio.
What a way, huh? I completely agree. That'll be my second pick as well. What a great way to sneak that one right in.
Yeah, you like the segue there, huh? That's it.
But I completely agree with you. Completely. He'll end up on SmackDown as well and bringing the IC title to SmackDown.
Yeah, they've taken a hit with their Hispanic audience, 1.9 SmackDown ratings and things like that. So they're going to likely send him over there, try to get that Hispanic demographic back up a little bit over on My Network TV. So Rey Mysterio, so MVP comes to Monday Night Raw with the U.S. title. Rey Mysterio goes over to SmackDown with the IC title. You're up.
All right. My third pick is Vladimir. I think he will end up on ECW. I think him and Finley might end up working on a program, but for whatever reason, I feel that Vladimir will end up on ECW.
You know, I like that. I like that a lot, man. But then, yeah, you know what? I like that. Because because I think his program is done on Smack. I mean, only that or Raw, but I figured ECW since we'll probably see some of the other guys, which we'll continue going through our picks. Bigger names. Let me give you a good segue here, right? If you say Vladimir Kozlov comes over to ECW, I've heard, and I'm pretty confident in this one as well, here's two of them for you. Mark Henry with Tony Atlas are going to head over to Monday Night Raw, and I'm pretty confident in that. So, with your pick of Kozlov coming over to ECW and my pick of Mark Henry, two big guys. Mark Henry leaves ECW. You replace that big guy with Kozlov, who's kind of lost right now over on SmackDown. You throw him on ECW as a big guy. One of the guys that's bigger, but will work against guys like Evan Bourne, and I think Evan Bourne, for the record, stays on ECW. You don't have him in your picks, do you? I think he's
nope.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great place for him.
I actually like the idea of Mark Henry and Tony Atlas. I mean, if you remember when they first aligned Tony Atlas with Mark Henry, and Mark Henry became the ECW champion, they put some on. They put some funny skits on TV. So
I think he gets lost.
Say it again. You think he'll get lost? I mean, I think initially they'll have a small impact on TV because again, the writers can use something there. They can kind of develop something. You have a 2-hour show rather than an hour show. ECW, but I can totally see that Mark Henry and Tony Atlas joining Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in when I say that Tony Atlas and Mark Henry over on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that one. And then, like you said, Kozlov over to ECW makes sense. You lose one big man, you bring another big man in. Kozlov is so green over there too, but it's still a name. It's a bigger name, a bigger guy that can work with some of the smaller talent over on ECW. And I think
not only that, but Finley. I mean, Finley is that's one of his gigs on the side. He's a trainer, so if you put a program with those two, they're only going to make Kozlov a lot better in his in-ring ability. Don't know if he can get any better than what he is now, but there's always some sort of room for improvement.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, especially for him,
Exactly.
Who else do we have in
your
here?
next pick?
My next pick, I was going to save this one for later, but I've heard rumors, and this is just a rumor, that there are still plans to bring D.H. Smith into the Legacy. Those plans are not off by any means. That's just that's from what I've been told. D.H. Smith, where is he now? Is he on Smack? I think he's on Smack. We haven't seen him in ages.
I lost count. I know the last time I think he's technically on the SmackDown roster.
Didn't he get drafted last year? I think he got drafted last year.
And then
they used him once or twice, and that was it. But I think he gets drafted. I don't think it's going to happen tonight, but I think in the supplemental draft on Wednesday, D.H. Smith, who has a new hairdo, by the way, blonde hair, cheap plug here, TheWrestlingAnswer.com has photos of him and his very good-looking sister, TheWrestlingAnswer.com, cheap plug. But anyway, D.H. Smith with new blonde hair. I believe he comes in, joins the Legacy. Those plans are still not off. I was told that over the weekend. So who knows? And not only that, but then, like I said, you need somebody in that match. the Backlash main event. I think you need somebody over there on SmackDown that's in that match. So, maybe D.H. Smith comes to Raw, and maybe Cody Rhodes or Ted DiBiase Jr. is out and on their own over on SmackDown. That's a possibility too, as long as plans are still there for D.H. Smith and the Legacy, which I believe they are.
It's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting analogy of thinking that D.H. Smith coming up